Welcome to the English learning community. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode. Today, we're diving into something truly special. A story that's not just going to improve your listening and writing skills, but also inspire you to take your English to the next level. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's get started. Have you ever been in a situation where someone was speaking and you just couldn't catch everything they said? Or maybe you were trying to write something, an email, a message, or even a story, but the words just wouldn't come to you. Trust me, we've all been there. But here's the good news. Today's episode is designed to help you overcome those challenges. We're going to explore real-life stories and examples that show you exactly how English is used in everyday conversations. These stories are packed with practical vocabulary, natural sentence structures, and tips that will boost your confidence and fluency. By the end of this episode, you'll not only understand English better, but also feel more comfortable using it in your own life. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a few questions. These are meant to get you thinking and set the stage for what's coming next. As you listen to today's episode, keep these questions in mind. 1. Have you ever felt nervous about speaking English because you were afraid of making mistakes? 2. What's one situation where you struggled to understand someone speaking English? 3. When you write in English, do you sometimes feel like you're missing the right words? These questions are more than just food for thought. They're the foundation of what we're about to explore. The story you're going to hear today is all about overcoming fear, embracing mistakes, and finding the courage to keep going. It's about real people, real challenges, and real growth. And trust me, by the end of it, you'll feel inspired to take on your own English learning journey with a fresh perspective. Are you ready? Let's jump into today's story and discover how mistakes can actually be magic in disguise. Let's go. Think less, talk more. The secret to fluent English, the overthinker. In a small town in Italy, there lived a young woman named Sophia. Sophia was creative, passionate, and had a big dream. She wanted to become a travel blogger and share her adventures with the world. But there was one problem. She was an overthinker. Every time she tried to speak English, her mind would flood with thoughts like, what if I use the wrong grammar? What if people don't understand my accent? What if I sound silly? Because of this, Sophia would often stay silent, even when she had exciting stories to share. She felt like her thoughts were a cage, trapping her from expressing herself. A missed opportunity. One day, Sophia attended a travel bloggers conference in Rome. It was a huge event with people from all over the world. Sophia was excited, but nervous. She wanted to network and make connections, but every time she tried to speak English, she froze. During a group discussion, a fellow blogger from the UK asked her, Sophia, what's the most beautiful place you've visited in Italy? Sophia's mind started racing. Should I talk about Venice or Florence? How do I describe the beauty in English? What if I mess up the pronunciation? After a long pause, Sophia mumbled, Venice is nice. The group waited for her to say more, but Sophia just smiled awkwardly and stayed quiet. She felt embarrassed and frustrated with herself. Later, she saw the same group laughing and chatting with other bloggers. She thought, why can't I just speak like them? Why do I overthink so much? Breaking point. That night, Sophia returned to her hotel room, feeling defeated. She sat by the window, staring at the moon, and thought about her dream of becoming a travel blogger. She realized that her overthinking was holding her back. She whispered to herself, if I don't change, I'll never achieve my dreams. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a message from her best friend Luca. He wrote, "How was the conference? Did you make any new friends?" Sophia sighed and replied, "It was okay. I couldn't speak much. I keep overthinking, and it's ruining everything." Luca, who was always supportive, replied, "Sophia, you're amazing. Stop thinking so much and just talk. People don't care about your mistakes. They care about you." The first step, the next morning, Sophia decided to take Luca's advice. She made a plan. Think less, talk more. She told herself, "I won't worry about grammar or pronunciation. I'll just speak and enjoy the conversation." At breakfast, she saw a group of bloggers chatting in English. She took a deep breath, walked up to them, and said, "Hi, can I join you?" One of the bloggers, a cheerful woman from Canada named Emily, smiled and said, "Of course, come sit with us." Sophia felt nervous, but she reminded herself of her new rule: think less, talk more. She started sharing stories about her travels in Italy. She made a few mistakes, but no one seemed to care. They were too busy laughing at her funny story about getting lost in Venice. By the end of the conversation, Sophia felt a sense of relief. She realized that speaking English wasn't about being perfect. It was about connecting with people. Life lesson. Sophia learned that overthinking is the enemy of fluency. The more you think, the harder it becomes to speak. But when you let go of fear and just talk, the words flow naturally. Stepping out of the comfort zone. After her breakthrough at the conference, Sophia felt a new sense of confidence. She realized that speaking English wasn't about perfection. It was about connection. But she also knew that her journey was just beginning. She wanted to keep improving and face bigger challenges. One day, Sophia received an email from a popular travel blog. They were looking for guest writers to share stories about their travels. Sophia was thrilled but nervous. She thought, what if my English isn't good enough? What if they reject me? But then she remembered Luca's words. Stop thinking so much and just talk. She decided to apply. She wrote a short email introducing herself and attached a story about her trip to the Amalfi Coast. She didn't overthink it. She just wrote from the heart. First big opportunity. A few days later, Sophia received a reply from the blog editor, Mr. Thompson. He wrote, "Dear Sophia, we loved your story. Would you be interested in doing a video interview with us? We'd like to feature you on our YouTube channel." Sophia's heart raced. A video interview in English. She felt excited, but scared. She thought, what if I freeze on camera? What if I make mistakes? But then she reminded herself of her new rule. Think less, talk more. She replied, "Thank you for the opportunity. I would love to do the interview." Preparing for the interview, Sophia spent the next few days preparing. She practiced speaking in front of the mirror, recorded herself on her phone, and even asked Luca to do a mock interview with her. But no matter how much she practiced, she still felt nervous. The night before the interview, Sophia couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about all the things that could go wrong. Finally, she called Luca. He said, "Sophia, you're overthinking again. Just be yourself. People don't care about your mistakes, they care about your story." Those words calmed her down. She decided to trust herself and let the words flow naturally. Interview. Next day, Sophia logged into the video call. Mr. Thompson greeted her with a warm smile. He said, "Welcome, Sophia. We're so excited to hear about your travels." Sophia took a deep breath and said, "Thank you. I'm excited to share my stories." At first, Sophia's voice was shaky, but as the interview went on, she started to relax. She talked about her favorite places in Italy, the delicious food she had tried, and the funny moments from her travels. She made a few mistakes, but she didn't let them bother her. She just kept talking. At one point, Mr. Thompson asked, "What's your advice for someone who wants to start traveling?" Sophia smiled and said, "Don't overthink it. Just go. Traveling is about exploring, learning, and having fun. It's not about being perfect." Mr. Thompson laughed and said, "That's great advice, Sophia. And I think the same applies to speaking English. Don't overthink it. Just talk." Life lesson. After the interview, Sophia felt proud of herself. She had faced her fear and spoken confidently, even though she wasn't perfect. She learned that confidence comes from action, not from thinking. The more you speak, the more confident you become. A surprise. A week later, Sophia received another email from Mr. Thompson. He wrote, "Dear Sophia, your interview was a huge hit. Our viewers loved your energy and your stories. We'd like to invite you to be a regular contributor to our blog and YouTube channel." Sophia couldn't believe it. She had done it. She had taken a big step toward her dream, all because she decided to think less and talk more. New adventures and bigger challenges. After becoming a regular contributor to the travel blog and YouTube channel, Sophia's life changed in ways she never imagined. She started receiving messages from people all over the world who loved her stories and found her journey inspiring. But with this new success came new challenges. One day, Mr. Thompson called Sophia and said, "Sophia, we'd like you to host a live Q&A session on our YouTube channel. It's a great way to connect with your audience in real time." Sophia felt a mix of excitement and fear. A live session? What if she couldn't answer the questions? What if she made mistakes in front of thousands of people? But then she remembered her rule. Think less, talk more. She took a deep breath and said, "I'd love to do it." Preparing for the live session. Sophia spent the next few days preparing. She wrote down possible questions and practiced her answers. But the more she practiced, the more nervous she became. She started overthinking again. What if I forget the words? What if someone asks a question I can't answer? What if people don't like me? The night before the live session, Sophia called Luca. He said, "Sophia, you're overthinking again. Just be yourself. People love you because you're real, not because you're perfect." Those words gave Sophia the courage to trust herself. She decided to go into the live session with an open mind and a positive attitude. Live Q&A. The next day, Sophia logged into the live session. As soon as the camera turned on, she saw hundreds of comments flooding in. "Hi Sophia, we love your videos. Can you tell us about your favorite Italian dish? How do you stay confident when speaking English?" Sophia felt a wave of nervousness, but she took a deep breath and said, "Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to answer your questions." At first, Sophia's voice was shaky, but as she started answering the questions, she began to relax. She talked about her favorite Italian dishes, shared funny travel stories, and even gave tips for learning English. She made a few mistakes, but she didn't let them bother her. She just kept talking. One viewer asked, "Sophia, how do you stay confident when speaking English?" Sophia smiled and said, "I used to overthink a lot, but then I learned that confidence comes from action. The more you speak, the more confident you become. So my advice is, think less, talk more. Don't worry about mistakes. Just enjoy the conversation." The comments section exploded with positive messages. "You're amazing, Sophia. Thank you for inspiring us. We love your energy." Funny moment. During the live session, Sophia had a funny moment that made everyone laugh. A viewer asked, "What's your favorite Italian word?" Sophia thought for a moment and said, "My favorite word is abbastanza. It means enough. For example, ho mangiato abbastanza means I've eaten enough." But then she added, "But honestly, I never say abbastanza when it comes to pizza." I always want more. The comments section filled with laughing emojis and messages like, "Same, Sophia, pizza is life. You're so funny." This funny moment reminded Sophia that mistakes and humor are part of being human. People don't expect perfection. They just want to connect with you. The life lesson. After the live session, Sophia felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had faced her fear of speaking live and realized that fluency isn't about perfection. It's about expression. She also learned that the more you speak, the more you grow. A bigger dream. A few weeks later, Sophia received an email from a travel TV show. They wanted her to be a guest on their show and share her travel stories. Sophia couldn't believe it. She had gone from being an overthinker to a confident speaker and storyteller. She called Luca and said, "I can't believe this is happening. I'm so grateful for your support." Luca laughed and said, "Sophia, you did this. You faced your fears and trusted yourself. I'm so proud of you." The adventure of a lifetime. After her successful live session and the invitation to appear on a travel TV show, Sophia felt like she was living a dream. But she knew that her journey wasn't over. She wanted to keep pushing herself and exploring new opportunities. One day, Mr. Thompson called Sophia with an exciting proposal. He said, "Sophia, we're planning a special episode where you'll travel to Scotland and explore its hidden gems. You'll be filming on location and interacting with locals. What do you think?" Sophia's heart raced. Scotland, filming on location? It sounded amazing, but also terrifying. She thought, what if I can't understand their accents? What if I make mistakes on camera? But then she remembered her rule. Think less, talk more. She took a deep breath and said, "I'd love to do it." Arriving in Scotland. When Sophia arrived in Scotland, she was amazed by its beauty. The rolling green hills, the ancient castles, and the friendly people made her feel welcome. But she also noticed that the Scottish accent was different from what she was used to. She thought, what if I can't understand them? What if they can't understand me? On the first day of filming, Sophia met her guide, Ewan, a cheerful Scotsman with a thick accent. He said, "All right, Sophia, ready to explore Scotland?" Sophia wasn't sure what "all right" meant in this context, but she smiled and said, "Yes, I'm ready." The funny misunderstanding. During the filming, Sophia had a funny moment that made everyone laugh. He took her to a local market and said, "Try the haggis. It's braw." Sophia had no idea what braw meant, but she didn't want to seem rude. She said, "Okay, I'll try it." When she took a bite of the haggis, she made a face and said, "It's interesting." Ewan laughed and said, "Aye, it's an acquired taste, but braw means great." Sophia laughed too and said, "Oh, well, it's definitely unique." The crew burst out laughing, and the moment became one of the highlights of the episode. Sophia realized that misunderstandings can be funny and that people appreciate your effort to connect, even if you make mistakes. A heartwarming moment. Later that day, Sophia visited a small village where she met an elderly woman named Mrs. MacLeod. Mrs. MacLeod invited Sophia into her home for tea and shared stories about her life in Scotland. At one point, Mrs. MacLeod said, "You've got a lovely way about you, Sophia. You make people feel at ease." Sophia felt touched. She said, "Thank you, Mrs. MacLeod. That means a lot to me." Mrs. MacLeod smiled and said, "You know, it's not about speaking perfectly. It's about speaking from the heart. And you do that beautifully." Those words stayed with Sophia. She realized that fluency isn't about grammar or pronunciation. It's about connecting with people and sharing your heart. The final scene. The last day of filming was at a stunning cliffside overlooking the ocean. Sophia stood there, feeling the wind in her hair and the warmth of the sun on her face. She turned to the camera and said, "Traveling has taught me so much. Not just about the world, but about myself. I used to be afraid of speaking English because I worried about making mistakes. But now I know that mistakes are just part of the journey. The more you speak, the more you learn. And the more you connect with people, the more you grow." She paused and smiled. My advice to you is this: think less, talk more. Don't let fear hold you back. The world is waiting for you to share your story. A life lesson. When the episode aired, it became a huge hit. Viewers loved Sophia's authenticity, her humor, and her inspiring message. Sophia received messages from people all over the world who said she had inspired them to stop overthinking and start speaking. Sophia realized that her journey wasn't just about learning English, it was about finding her voice and sharing it with the world. If you enjoyed today's story and found it helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We've got so many more inspiring stories, practical tips, and fun lessons coming your way to help you master English and boost your confidence. And hey, if you're feeling extra motivated, leave a comment below and tell us, what's one mistake you've made while learning English, and what did you learn from it? We'd love to hear your stories and cheer you on. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, every step you take is progress, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. You've got this.